His Thresh is removed, and we've seen his heat-seeking hooks, so I can understand that. But BLG so far, it is pure respect bans because Wooming loses his Galio as well. In the meantime, Rogue Warriors answer in kind, taking away Fofo's Syndra and his Zoe.
And the interesting thing is that Fofo's Zoe is the only champion that he has with a positive win rate. Everything else is down below that 50, or well, sitting at 50% or below that 50% line. 70% win rate for the Zoe, which is why we see teams often banning it away. However, Volibear has been left open here, which has been a super strong pick for Meteor in the past.
Bit of a weird one to see the Graves ban coming out from Rogue Warriors just because Meteor has only played one game of it this entire split. He loves the Trundle. Trundle has been easily his go-to pick. But the Bard going to be the first lock in here. It's going the way of Shinmo in the bottom lane.
I'm surprised to see that. Shinmo's Bard has not impressed me at all in the past. I'm putting such high priority on it when we talk about, hey, look, you've got the likes of this Volibear left open. You've got even the AD carries like the Aphelios, the Ashe, like a bunch of these high priority picks that we've seen in the past have been left open, and you give the opportunity for both of these to be given over towards Rogue Warriors.
Okay, so now the Volibear goes their way. That could go to the top lane. It could go to the jungle, but realistically, I think it's probably for Holder. He's the only one on the roster that has locked it in the past. The Ashe, however, is Jangwuji's most played by a country mile.
Yeah, 10 games on that Ashe so far, when the next being actually split between 5 other AD carries, all sitting on 3, and one of them is Lucian. So we'll have to see how we start to move this.
It says a lot, doesn't it, about how much they prioritize this Ashe. On the side of BLG now, Wing's going to go towards the Aphelios, you'd expect, because he has basically every time. I mean, it's a similar story, right? Because we have 10 picks for Jangwuji on this Ashe. Wings has 9 picks on the Ashe and 9 picks on the Aphelios. If the Ashe isn't there, he's going to Aphelios.
Every time. And I'd be curious to see now what Rogue Warriors respond with, because you can go towards a mage support here knowing that you're against the Bard. We've seen Lei has gone towards the likes of the Karma, and especially when Rogue Warriors have paired themselves with the Ashe, good amount of poke, which can do some work against this Aphelios. But more crucially, when we get to those team fights, speeding up a Volibear, enabling the team to follow up Enchanted Crystal Arrows could be the way forward, but okay!
Oh, we get an Alistair from Lei down in the bottom lane. We could have some Moo Cow action down there.
So I'm super excited for this. So Alistair did get some buffs on 914, whereas Q's got a 2-second less cooldown.
1014. 1014.
What did I say? 914?
You said 914.
Sorry, 1014.
Which is a long old while ago now.
Yeah, a little while ago. But still, Alistair looks absolutely... Well, he can look great into certain matchups, and I think this is a matchup where he can do a lot of work, because the big thing here is that you get the engage onto a short range of Aphelios. You can't really do too much against you. Even if the Bard is trying to poke you out, you've actually got enough sustain in your kit to try and get through that laning phase. It's not too bad. And you've got great dives set up around that level 6 mark, which can work so well with the Volibear.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Jangwuji can set all of this up with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Alistair has so much follow-up available there. But we're going on towards more bans here. Meteor gets his Olaf banned away as the Camille is banned from King.
Taking it off the board. And we talked about, look, honestly, Holder has been the weak point of Rogue Warriors, whereas Kingan has had these potentially highlight moments over on BLG's side. So I'm not surprised to see them taking away some of these more split push orientated picks that Kingan has shown on. But as you pointed out when we talked about Kingan entering this lineup, Kingan isn't short on champions when it comes to the LPL. He's got a whole plethora that he can pick from.
Yeah, he's played 14 unique picks so far this split, so it's a difficult one to ban out. But we are going to see a Silas locked in here. I presume for Wooming.
Yeah, it'll be maybe. We've seen some people go towards this Silas.
I mean, Holder is one of the players that has played Silas in the top lane as well.
It's usually into Ornn, though, when he does play it. So this is the Silas pick we oftentimes see going towards the mid lane when we get a Twisted Face. And the whole idea is that he can take that Destiny and then you can follow alongside Fofo when he does try to make that Destiny play work. Silas, though, is a champion that kind of needs a decent early to mid game to try and set him up so he can have impact in these team fights. So it'll be on Rogue Warriors to try and get Wooming invested in these early skirmishes, get a bit of gold into his back pocket so he can have a big impact as this game goes on.
Well, we got the Kong and a Troll locked in here for BLG now for Kingan and Meteor. Meteor, we mentioned before, he's got 8 games of Trundle so far this split, and this will be his 9th. Not looking to change things up from him. And now over towards Harrow. Lee Sin, not a surprising lock-in for him either. So, relatively comfort picks in the jungle.
So I was expecting that Volibear to go towards the jungle, although we haven't actually seen Harrow play it as of yet. So obviously tending more towards Holder picking that one up, but I think the big thing here for me is that you get this fantastic matchup now in the top lane for Holder. The Volibear does super well against the Wukong because the split damage in his kit, and also he's got a bunch of healing, plus he's just a bully for the Wukong 3-6. So Holder should have a strong top lane matchup there. You now got Harrow, who after that level 6 mark will be able to win out in the jungle, and then look towards setting up Woomin as we talked about, but also set up for these dives in the bottom lane that we also discussed.
And I love how we were talking about Wooming being the guy that wants to be on a pick with global pressure, right? Wants to be able to roam around and make these plays, and instead of having to lock in a pick with global pressure, he just picks something that can steal global pressure from the opponent, still going to be able to make his way around the map. And it's that question of whether or not Sylas is going to be able to hit that level 6, steal the Twisted Fate ultimate, and get out onto the map before Twisted Fate can.
So that's the problem in this matchup, is that Sylas actually really struggles with that. So when we see the Sylas here, we don't actually usually see the Conqueror rune. We tend to instead see the more Fleet Foot orientated build, where he'll go towards Q max and try and keep pushing out against the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate, though, because he has access to that minion dematerializer, just pushes harder. He does a really good job of getting that wave in. So it can be a little bit difficult for the Sylas to try and match those roams, but I'm curious to see now if Woomin can actually manage to do so, or how Fofo will look to play this Twisted Fate.
I'm also curious whether or not Meteor or Harrow is going to look in towards that mid lane as well, especially looking at Sylas Lee Sin. That's a whole lot of damage and a good amount of CC coming out from Sylas as well to try and set up plays. We'll see if we do get any 2v2 shenanigans here, though, as we move on to the Rift. It's BLG against Rogue Warriors. They are both 4 and 8 right now. They are fighting for their tournament lives, Doctor.
And this is the first step. This is the road for them trying to keep themselves in that playoff contention. It's a long road ahead of them. We talked about some of these. Yeah, Lay's just going wild there.
He may not have the Mukau skin, but you know what? He's just as annoying.
And the interesting thing is, actually, this is something that we've seen a little bit more from Alistair's. We haven't obviously seen Alistair for a while. He used to run the Aftershock rune. A lot of people swapping over to this phase rush because it offers you a huge amount when it comes to trying to make sure you can land your E. It doesn't mean you're a little bit less tanky, though, in those early stages, those early trades, because you don't get the Aftershock to keep yourself, or at least get a lot of that armor and magic resist. So when Lei gets that later stage, it's about combo, the WQ combo, into running around in the midst of this fight super, super quickly. And you can oftentimes actually get onto the likes of these big carries like Wings to stun them up with the E of the Alistair.
So, not super relevant to the game at hand here, Dagda, but I do have a little bit of a tangent. I just saw in the distance above top lane an Infernal Drake fly by. Now, I heard on, it was on LS's stream, I think, Nemesis said that you can tell what soul is going to be on the Rift every single game because the dragon that flies above top lane right at the very start is the dragon that will become the soul. So, if Infernal Soul is the soul this game, maybe he's right. Maybe he's on something. We'll have to wait and see.
So here we're going to look at the runes here for the Alistair. So obviously that Hex Flash as well is fantastic, especially in a lane against an Aphelios and a Bard, because you can hide in these bushes, you get a lot of pressure, and it makes it very difficult for Shinmo and Wings to try and contest the lane, because you can Hex Flash out, you've got a massive amount of range with your WQ, your Headbutt Pulverize combo. You can close that gap, set up super well, and there's not very much that Wings or Shinmo can do against it.
Yeah, the one downside of the Alistair pick, though, is you are basically a large minion at level 1. And as you can see there, they don't even try and contest that wave because there's just no way. Alistair doesn't get near anyone.
The benefits of Rogue Warriors bot lane and their top lane, though, is that when they get to level 6, those towers just don't really matter in side lanes anymore. You can go for 2 very aggressive plays through Holder to be able to disable the turret, and Alistair who disables the damage that comes from the turret. So I want to see how Harrow plays out this early game because he has so many options between both top and bot lane that he can set up beautifully and actually put a lot of pressure onto Fofo, who has to be mindful that because you've got a winning top lane and a winning bot lane at the moment for Rogue Warriors, that it becomes a little bit difficult for him to try and make these moves without running into Harrow or other members of Rogue Warriors.
And you mentioned Harrow, he's going to be moving up towards this top Scuttle Crab, so we won't see any early skirmishes between the junglers here as Meteor moves to the bottom side. He'll clear that and recall. Likely the same thing from Harrow on the top side here, as there's not really an opportunity for him to make a play underneath the tower onto Kingen. And we'll see what these two junglers are going to opt to go for after the recall, once they get back on the map, whether we do see Harrow starting to make plays, and in fact, not even recalling just yet. I think he was hoping for the Gromp spawn. He's a little bit too early.
Well, it's more to get confirmation as to where Meteor is. Because with the way that this two sides of the map are going to work, look, Holder is going to have control of this top side. In the early stages, because as you nicely pointed out, Munchables, Alistair isn't a champion really until level 2. So when you're able to push in effectively on this bottom side, Meteor's going to more than likely go from his top side to his bottom side. And then Harrow just wanted confirmation, because once he sees, well, both Trundle and that Gromp respawn, he'll be able to know exactly where Meteor is.
We're just going to see constant back and forth between Holder and Kingin. But importantly, Kingin is basically out of mana, does have one biscuit to work with, but nowhere near as much sustain as Holder's still going to have here. The trades are going on. Holder's got a shield for himself, and Kingin, he's getting bullied out of this lane right now.
This is a heavily Volibear favored matchup. The passive on the Wukong only gives you the armor. It doesn't give you anything to deal with the AP damage that comes through from the Sky Splitter, and also the passive of Volibear. So this is pretty nice for Holder at the moment, and you can see he's bullying that lane out.
Yeah, the Relentless Storm passive is just so difficult to deal with. I think Meteor got past that without getting spotted.
He did get spotted. He got spotted right on the edge of it. Yeah.
We flicked between vision styles back and forth, so I wasn't 100% sure. But
yeah, it's more about the little symbol he gets above his head.
Fair enough. Yeah. I should have looked out for that instead. Dragon's going to be started, though. It's Rogue Warriors that will happily grab this one for themselves. Meteor is moving over, though, so there's potential, but I think he's just going to go back into his jungle. And BLG going to allow this one to go over to Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and nice call from them to be able to pick this up. Actually having a push by Woomin into that mid lane for just a short bit of time allows them all to group up. Same when it came to that bottom side. But the funny thing here is when I actually look at the CS department in that bottom lane, a little bit in favor of Wings and Shinmo at the moment, but definitely expect that one to change around, and it most certainly will change when we do hit that level 6 mark and you get access to these two super strong ultimates on the Rogue Warriors bottom lane side.
Well, Fofo's hit level 6, and Wooming will be damn close after these minions as well. So we could have the possibility that some plays start to happen around the map. I certainly hope. What do you reckon, Dagda? Am I right on this one? Do you think we'll actually see something happening, or do you think these guys are just going to chill?
It's more on BLG's side, because we know what Rogue Warriors are like, right? And especially as we're hitting close to that 8-minute mark soon, you'll see this back come through now for Rogue Warriors. They will move back down towards this bottom lane, try and bounce out this wave, and then move up towards this Rift Herald. But BLG do have a slight advantage of setting up for that Rift Herald as of right now with the lane states. So it'll be interesting to see if BLG want to try and contest this, or are they just willing to let it go a little bit longer until Wings has his advantage, until they can make these plays with Fofo happen.
Well, that's a long way away for Wings to get an advantage. So, honestly, Dagda, I hope you're wrong on that one, because I'd like to see some fighting.
As well. I want to see it.
But I fear you might be right, because you usually are, and it's getting annoying as your roommate, to be quite honest, because I like to be right.
But look, if you just did the dishes, we wouldn't have any of these problems.
Well, we have a dishwasher. Not a person, a machine. Just to clarify there. Wooming is going to get stunned up in the mid lane. Shinmo's here, so is Lei. We did see the jungle is tussling just a little bit, but Aaron moved away. I thought we were maybe going to see him fight for the blue buff, but he's not willing to.
It's actually interesting to see Fofo go for the Electrocute build here. I hadn't copped it when we were first looking at those runes. This is a very much a I want to win lane kind of thing. We see the Unsealed Spellbook quite a lot on the Twisted Fates because you get the reduced summoner spell cooldown, you can make a lot more map plays, and you just get a nice rotation of some of these crucial summoner spells for team fights like Exhaust and Barriers and Ghosts and all this kind of stuff. But Fofo very much going, I'm just going to win out this lane and try and force you out ASAP. But it hasn't quite worked out thus far, but at least does burn the TP out of Woomin, but Fofo will also burn his own to get back towards that lane.
So we return to chilling here as Meteor maybe makes the first play of the game. Holder winning out a trade pretty heavily, but now he'll be knocked up, has to jump away with his ultimate, flashes out, keeps himself safe. Harrow is here off to the side, but don't know if he's going to find a way in with Meteor still hanging around. It feels like things will just diffuse. Although, I say that, Destiny's going to be stolen. Wooming looking to make the play here. Doesn't have the gold card because he's playing Silas. That means they get away.
Yeah, they're able to escape, and that's a big win for BLG because Wooming's ult takes, well, the Destiny ult for Wooming takes a lot longer to come up than Fofo's. The fact that the first one doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And you have Fofo here can potentially make these side lane plays now without Wu being able to follow. Could mean big things for BLG. And that's why I think Rogue Warriors given the respect over towards this Rift Tower. They're like, look, we're going to be at a man disadvantage here, especially as Shinmo's already roamed up.
And I think BLG also giving that respect and saying,
Oh, is he
no,
gonna stop
way
us?
is he going to ruin his recall. That is hilarious. Oh, Meteor, you poor sod. Harrow is just going to be chilling in the pit. And he's like, all right, my turn. Back onto the Herald we go. And Meteor is just going to hang about a bit and then recall?
Yeah, so Fofo's
I
actually
dunno.
back in at the moment. Woomin moving up towards his top side. So BLG not willing to contest at this early stage. And
Dagda, what just happened there? Because obviously Meteor got his back cancelled and then he was like, maybe I'll recall, maybe I won't recall. Spent like another 30 seconds and then just recall.
I think they were looking to see if they could get a gank on towards Holder in the top side, because obviously no flash, no ult, and that Trundle Pillar can be a little bit of a nuisance for the Volley Bear. But the problem here for BLG was Shinmo tried to move up towards the Rift Herald play that was kind of starting off, but it meant that the Lei and Shang Wuji could shove out that wave bot lane, which then gave Lei the opportunity to instead like pass Shinmo on the escalator, I suppose, kind of wave at him as Lei went up towards that Rift Herald and gave more numbers advantage for Rogue Warriors on that top side. So again, it's kind of what we're talking about. It looks like BLG, they don't want to force things, they don't want to do anything. They say, look, we've got the lane game. We've got this Aphelios, we've got Fofu who can play out inside lanes. We're going to be in a better spot when we get there. Let's just not give the opportunity for Rogue Warriors to find these early game advantages.
And also, we've got ourselves an almost 2,000 gold lead right now. BLG have a massive CS advantage in the bottom lane, in the mid lane, in the jungle as well. They're slightly ahead. And now, they're feeling confident enough to start this Dragon off. But Rogue Warriors I'm just going to let this go without a fight.
This is the fight that Rogue Warriors want.
Here we go, TP's coming in, but Tempered Fate means Harrow can't contest the Drake. It's taken by Meteor here, who's immediately collapsed upon, but Harrow's the first one to go down in the fight. Meteor barely trying to get away, as it is pure chaos on the Rift, but Wuji's still alive. Lei tanking everyone up. That's a great pulverize, but can they follow up with the damage? One kill goes, there's the second one. Rogue Warriors 3-2 right now as Destiny gets Fofo out.
Rogue Warriors will just about manage to eke out the victory there in the fight. Dragon does go the way of BLG, but Nemesis and yourself are right, Munch. You've got an Inferno Soul on the Rift. And that means that when we do come into the next couple of fights, those Dragons are far more important. And Rogue Warriors, hang on, watch a movie. Yeah, Rogue Warriors will actually be kind of happy that they've foregone one Cloud Dragon in the advantage of picking up 3 of those Inferno Dragons.
Unless it's BLG that picks the ball up. But let's take another look at the fight. I was impressed by Lei here.
Yes, I was impressed with Lei as well. The problem with the Alistair, though, is that you've such a long time on your Hippo Pulverize combo. So when Lei goes for that initial play and nobody follows up because everyone turns towards the Dragon instead, Alistair kind of just becomes useless at that point. You have to wait until it's kind of about a 12-second cooldown about at this stage before you can go for that Hippo Pulverize combo again, which is why Lei took so long until he got that Flash Pulverize combo. And the problem with that is that then BLG are able to set themselves up. They can come back in, and Rogue Warriors can actually find as clean a fight as they would have hoped for.
10 seconds in an early fight is basically the entire fight, right? As Harrow going to drop down the Herald in the mid lane. And they're not... Oh no, Wooming is going to move back over. He's going to collect some of that plate gold for himself. Or not. Nope, it's all going to go to Harrow. So there you go. Harrow's going to be a rich guy in the jungle. He's also going to kick Shinmo. In goes Lei as well. See you later, Bard. Shinmo's gone.
That was a nice pick from Rogue Warriors. Now,
what an arrow as well. Rogue Warriors playing for some picks here. And Meteor feeling the wrath of that one. Wings with the Moonlight Vigil. I mean, it looked good, but it didn't do much.
Wings needs to be very careful as well, because the Unbreakable Will is nearly up for this Alistair, and they could look for a dive onto him as well, but it looks like he's going to respect that back away. The Rogue Warriors, off of a couple of quick plays, that gold lead you were talking about, Munchables, is completely wiped.
Unbreakable Will sounds like a short story about a young boy named William.
It does really, yeah.
Like a feel-good movie. I'd watch that.
It's like whatever adversity overcomes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Except it's not real adversary.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
a
like he
kid's book.
wants-
So he's just like arguing with Timmy over who's going to be the school
He's
reading
made-
monitor.
Yeah, he's made like a go-kart and he wants to win the race, and it's just like, oh, come on, we can do it. Unbreakable, and his cart is unbreakable despite the fact it breaks about 3 times. But at that last moment,
you know what?
he holds it together.
His cart breaks 3 times, but his spirit never breaks, and that's what matters. And that's why Rogue Warriors are 5-2 up right now. It's their spirit. The spirit hasn't broken. Harrow's getting his red buff
If
back.
any of you are movie directors, we're perfectly happy to write this script on your behalf. Just pay us a lot of money.
Yeah, all we want is like 50% of the proceeds and merchandising rights. That's all we ask for.
Not that much. Not that much.
But moving away from Hollywood and moving back to the LPL. Right now, the gold is even, Dagda. Despite Rogue Warriors winning that fight, it is still some pretty significant CS leads across the board here. We've got a 30 CS lead in the mid lane for Fofo. He's already got his Rod of Ages. He's moving towards a Lich Bane as well. Down in the bottom side as well, Wings is the only benefactor of any turret plays on the side of BLG. But importantly, he's got his Infinity Edge. He'll be moving towards a Zeolite next.
Didn't Harrow break over up in the one's mid, though? With the Rift Herald? I thought he would have gotten more out of it. So I'm not sure.
Did they change it so that Herald doesn't get you it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I missaw that. Or maybe it was too late. Maybe it was like the last second.
No, it was like 12.5 minutes, so I don't know. Look, either way, we'll move on here, because we do have a dragon that's about to spawn. It's a minute until that one is up, and we're looking at a potential teleport here for Kingen, which is fantastic for BLG, and especially when you're looking at Fofo as well as Destiny to come in on the back line of these fights. You can set up these flanks on towards the likes of Shang-Wuji super easily as BLG right now.
So we're going to see Rogue Warriors. Oh, hang on, Lay. That is not the place to Hex Flash 2. He's going to pop himself a pot, and he is Alistair, so he's practically invincible. So he gets out. Everything's fine.
He'll be okay. And is actually going towards that Glacier Shroud build, so looking more towards that Seek's Convergence as of later, which we haven't seen for a while, honestly, on supports, but definitely one that worked quite well in this Alistair pick.
Yeah, you can set your AD carries auto attacks on fire, which is pretty cool, I have to say. That
Pretty
plus
lit.
red buff, that's 2 fires. And then if you go Balmy Cinder Ash, fire everywhere. Look, all I'm saying is it's a potential.
And Infernal! I mean, look, it fits with the theme of this whole game, to be honest.
That's true.
So now we're going to see Rogue Warriors starting this up. BLG could potentially contest it, as we talked about, with that TP. Holder doesn't have his available. And we'll have to see now, as Kingen does have his TP, as Holder already moved down.
Here we go, BLG looking to contest as the teleport comes in, but Lay is not looking for a fight, he's looking for a pick. He's not going to get that, though. Nice little knock-up from Kingen as Lay's tanking everyone up with the Unbreakable Will on the front line. Rogue Warriors getting away for now as Kingen gets a knock-up onto Wuji, flashes after him and finishes the kill. He's going absolutely monkey business in the back line. But it's going to be BLG with 2 at the end of things. Rogue Warriors couldn't turn it around.
Kingen doing a massive job on this Wukong. Gets on towards Harrow and Shang-Wuji to start things off. Gets the knock-up. But then as Harrow kicks him out, still manages to get the follow-up once again. So BLG come out on top in that fight, and they will get this second dragon.
Yeah, so an Infernal Drake as well. They're moving their way towards that Infernal Soul.
And don't forget, we've already highlighted that Rogue Warriors composition really need to start this snowball early. That's the way this Ashe works. That's the way this Silas works as well. Lee Sin massively so too. So the fact that already BLG are winning out in these engagements, these fights, and are 2,000 gold up is a fantastic boon for BLG.
Yeah, because when we look towards the late game, there could be issues here for Rogue Warriors, but once again, a lot of it does come down to the way that the game plays out, because when you've got things like the Ashe, things like the Silas as well that can steal away enemy ultimates, there is a ton of pick potential on the side of Rogue Warriors. And let's just think back to what the issues were for BLG when they were against JDG, because they had a pretty big lead in the second game, and then Wings gets caught out of position, gets picked, and everything falls apart. So I don't want to count BLG's chickens just yet.
And the thing for me as well is that the ultimate I want to see Woomin steal here is actually the Tempered Fate. Because Aphelios struggles so massively against that. And if you can knock Wings out of these fights, if you can take him out for a couple of seconds with that Tempered Fate, while you're dealing with Fofo, with Kingen, that buys you so much time to then come in with a second engagement onto the Aphelios and set yourselves up beautifully. Because because you've got Wings going for the cleanse, you actually can't cleanse the head pulverize combo. You can only cleanse and then flash away, but you still register as not up, so you can't move. So there's plenty of opportunities here for Rogue Warriors if they can separate these fights and if they can conduct themselves well in the scraps to actually come out on top.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the cleanse on the knockup there, because I actually saw during that first fight at Dragon, we did see Wings try and cleanse the knockup, and he didn't flash. I'm not really sure why he didn't flash after the cleansing, but I wasn't going to call him out, but since you brought it up anyway.
Since I called him out, I can call him, or you can call him out.
Exactly. Speaking of Wings, he's looking to move up alongside Fofo here. See you later, Wooming. He's not going to be on this planet anymore. Herald dropped in the top lane as well. There's a lot of members here for BLG. They can look for a couple of towers. The question is, what can Rogue Warriors do in response?
Well, they can try and push in this mid, but this is a win here for BLG. They're going to get 2 towers. If Rogue Warriors don't back, there is an opportunity for BLG to go for an inhibitor. That's why BLG are trying to stop these recalls.
Yeah, they don't need the whole team here. They just need the carries to clear this wave, get the Herald underneath the tower, and finish this one off. In goes Wings and Fofo with a Lich Bane. They have plenty of damage.
This is really poor map play from Rogue Warriors, but brilliant from BLG, making these Rift Herald plays to get themselves an even larger gold lead. And now think about where that gold has gone. Straight onto this Aphelios, who's just finished his Ruinance Hurricane. Onto that Lich Bane TF that you talked about. With the Electrocute as well, he's got a little bit more punch power whenever he gets into these fights. So BLG are setting themselves up looking real good in this first game.
And not to mention, Fofo's Rod of Ages as well, now stacked up to 10, so he's hitting like a truck. He's going to finish his boots and maybe go towards something like a Zhonya's next, so he's going to be ready. And I have to say, this is not really the Rogue Warriors that you come into a series expecting. You expect the chaos. You expect them forcing plays, especially when Harrow's on something like this Lee Sin. But it's just not really happening. It feels like BLG are the ones that are dictating everything.
And that's the thing, is that Rogue Warriors were a comp that needed to snowball. BLG didn't give them the first 1 or 2 fights that they really wanted to. And then when Rogue Warriors found that fight that they thought they needed, they actually ended up turning on towards Meteor, who was fine in the pit, and then they can't win out that fight as heavily as they would have liked to. Now look at the way BLG can play this, because as we talked about, Aphelios for Wings, fantastic in the late game. But the thing about BLG's comp is they can play side lanes super effectively. Eventually, you're going to have this Wukong who can go toe-to-toe against this Volibear, especially with the build the Volibear has gone. It is the lane that take over from Wukong, but it is very much starting to swing in Wukong's favor now. And same with Fofo, who has the most gold in this game. With an exposed inhibitor in this top lane, he is free to continuously shove in. And if Rogue Warriors even try and sniff at this dragon, they can just trade that for an inhibitor on top side.
And not to mention, you don't really want to be sniffing at dragons. I've heard that their diet is not particularly exceptional. There can often be a bit of an aroma there, especially in Infernal trait.
When you eat as much meat as that, there's going to be a few proteins in the mix. You know? There's, for anyone who's gone with someone who goes to the gym a lot and has a lot of protein, you'll understand what I mean.
Harrow slides away. He's going to be fine. I wasn't nervous for him, don't worry. BLG, though, grouping up here, because Infernal's up in 12 seconds, and they would love to grab themselves one extra Drake. They're on to Lei, who's had to use the Unbreakable Will already. Rogue Warriors have already lost the fight, and it's not even begun.
And it's sad because there actually was the potential there for a massive pulverized play from Lei. But unfortunately, Hoder was dealing with this wave. The bottom side hadn't come across. So that little damage, that little bit of a pick that was enabled by Fofo having this rapid fire cannon sets up beautifully for that third dragon.
Oh, hang on. They found Wuji in the mid lane as well. Wings barely gets away from tower range as Wuji barely gets away with his life. BLG, they could just rinse and repeat this kind of stuff all day long.
This is going worse and worse here for Rogue Warriors. They haven't been able to find any sort of advantages, and BLG are picking up everything across the map. They're going to get this mid lane turret, and then that just makes it a little bit easier for these waves to approach closer to their base and set up for both King and Fofo on these side lanes.
Dagda, where did the magic go? I feel like I'm watching the Winless Warriors again. I feel like they've gone back a few weeks. This is not the gameplay that I signed up for. I wanted to see Rogue Warriors popping off, making plays happen, not falling apart.
Well, the thing is, their compositions don't usually look like this, right? They don't usually go for, although we have Shang Wuji playing a lot of Ashe, it's usually paired with Harrow on this Graves or a Nidalee or something a bit more aggressive. Same with Woomin in this mid lane. He's usually even when he's on something like a damage-orientated mid laner, it's a Zoe, it's an Azir, it's an Orianna, things that can scale into this late game. But when you've got the likes of this Sylas, when you've got the likes of an Ashe and a Lee Sin, you don't really have a late game option. So when BLG decided, hey, we're not actually going to engage or work against Rogue Warriors in these early stages, we're just going to look for lane advantages, BLG are coming out looking a lot better.
Yeah, BLG are looking a lot better on the scoreboard as well, because they're about 6,000 gold ahead at this point. And I want to revisit Fofo's items, because I said maybe I'll go for a Zhonya's next after that Lich Bane. But no, he's got himself a rapid fire cannon. He wants to make these picks. He wants to get some long-range gold cards and force the plays. But importantly, Baron is on the map. People are starting to congregate around that area.
And I mean, look, the rapid fire cannon works great as well when you go this electrocute build, because obviously, as you said, you can get these long-range stuns, you can get another quick auto and your Q to get that electrocute proc to move away. And when you're super far ahead like this, being able to force engages with the rapid fire cannon, set up for kinging on these big ultimates, works so well for BLG.
Holder's been having a rough time on this Volibear, not really been able to find his way into many of these plays. As BLG stepping forwards, Harrow's going to be the one caught as we're going to flick over and watch a ward get taken. I guess nothing happened, but I'm not sure the ward was the priority there, observers. Here we go, onto the Baron though. Shinmo going to play keep away.
Look at Woomin though, he's got the tempered fate. He can actually look to catch a couple of these members, which is why BLG quickly back away. They have to be so careful about grouping up, because one big combo from Lei setting up for Woomin and Holder could burst down a lot of them, but they have to put themselves in that position first as BLG.
And we've seen the last couple of fights have not looked good for Rogue Warriors. Lei is here trying to contest with some vision. Hawkshot is going to be invaluable here, being able to spot out the Baron and make sure that Rogue Warriors maintain at least some semblance of control of the area.
It's twice now that Hawkshot has been sent out though, so they're going to be running a little bit low on those at the moment.
48 seconds.
There you go.
That comes up.
So we're going to have to wait and see now how Rogue Warriors approach this, because once again, BLG are moving over towards this objective.
Lei going to be stunned, but I mean, Alistair, not really the target you want to start this fight onto.
But don't forget, Lei is playing a slightly different style of Alistair. He's not as tanky as when you go the Resolve route. He's gone for the Phase Rush and Inspiration Trees.
He's got Righteous Glory.
He has.
This guy wants to run in. Yeah. This guy wants to start fight.
I actually thought that it was going to be the Zeke's Convergence to start things off, to try and buy a little bit of space for Zhang Wuji from the likes of King In and Meteor as they run in. But he's like, no, I want to be the one running in. I want to be the one setting up these plays. And we'll have to see if it is going to work out. Right now, though, I'm surprised to see BLG consistently threatening this Baron. I'd rather see them use these extended side lanes that they've created to shove in waves and then back over towards the Baron, or at least force Rogue Warriors to deal with side lanes so you can have time for Wings to solo this down alongside Meteor.
So I want to quickly address AD carry items here, because we already mentioned how Fofo is basically a full item up. Wooming. Let's get a face check into King in here. Nothing going to come of it. But in the AD carry role, we can see Wings is basically a full item, or at least half an item ahead of Zhang Wuji. But most importantly, he spikes exceptionally hard on 3 items.
Lei is in a flank position. Holders corralling.
Nobody's
here,
nearby,
nobody's
though.
Nearby.
Yeah, I don't know. Lei,
oh, hang on. They're going for this. Wooming's TPing in.
What is going on here? Lei playing the secret agent mission here. They're looking for Wings. Cleanse comes through. Flash from Lei, but he's not going to be able to get onto Wings. There's a kick, though, coming through from Harrow. Wings taken by the Tempered Fate here. In goes everyone. Can they finish up the Aphelios? They're trying the damnedest, and they finally burn him down. They've lost the other side of the fight, though. 2-1 right now for Rogue Warriors as they try and regroup. Try this one again. Both AD carries went down. Holder's the next one to fall. And we're starting to see this gold lead personified here. Wooming on the front line, turns himself golden to stay alive, but Lei has to abandon his mid laner. Wooming falls, and it's another fight for BLG.
Yeah, they all jump onto Wings, but there's not enough burst damage there. Zhang Wuji is left on his lonesome, and BLG turn. And you can see just the desperation from Rogue Warriors, and once you said it, like the gold lead is just so big now for BLG.
I love the creativity. I love the attempt here, like going for some weird route, trying to find a way to make this play as the Infernal Drake is spawning, because you know that you can't just go straight for the 5v5. But has to be said, Wings played that pretty well, being able to cleanse and flash away from the play, making it really hard for Lei to get onto him. There wasn't enough follow-up, and it meant Wuji as well was left alone.
Yeah, and this is the one here. That flash from Wings was the game changer there, because as we already talked about, there's no escape when you get locked up. But this one kind of sucked a little bit here from Rogue Warriors, where you see Zhang Wuji doesn't quite know where to go because he's caught between Fofo, Kingan's coming in the back line as well. And that's the consistent damage that they really need here to finish off and then turn towards the rest of BLG.
And the worst part about all of it is, if that tier 1 had been taken earlier on in the game, everything would have been fine. Because Wuji throws the arrow out, gets tower aggro, has to deal with that tower first, because if he just walks forward with the team, he's going to die to the tower. So he ends up getting caught in this awkward situation. No one else can help him out. I mean, the rest is history.
We'll have to see if Rogue Warriors now, with the cleanse, with the flash down, can try and find a similar play. But it's a big ask because BLG are already taking over this topside jungle.
We're going to see a TP coming through here from Holder, looking to try and make some kind of play. I don't know if they could just 5v5, but god damn it, they're going to try. Lei goes in. Here comes the Destiny, but wooming straight onto Fofo to try and deny things. Sure, you got into the fight, but you don't have any damage. Rogue Warriors are just getting torn apart. Knockups galore from Kingan. And again, like, it looks good. It's a great attempt. I like the idea, but nothing happens. At the end of the day, BLG just slap him.
There's no one there to actually deal the damage to Rogue Warriors. You have a Death Dance Aphelios who's going to be healing a whole heap, especially when you jump line on top of them. And BLG, off the back of that play, can end game 1.
Look, this is what I like about Rogue Warriors, though. At least they acknowledge the fact that this one's done. Let's just try and make the play happen. If it works, it works. If not, we lose this game and we move to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you do give it a shot. It's the only Hail Mary you can make, because otherwise it's a slow defeat there where you can just play through side lanes as BLG, go towards a Baron and win it out. But a solid attempt with the TP from Holder, but definitely a desperation play from Rogue Warriors.
There wasn't